Hi there. Hi there. Hi there. It's Rose Rosetree. And this time I want to tell you about something that I maintain called my Enlightenment Life List. Just as bird watchers make lists of all the special birds they've seen in their careers as bird watchers, I've been fascinated by enlightenment since I first learned about it in 1968, which actually might be before you were born. For me, it has been very important as something to aim for. Sometimes people think of it in psychological terms as self-actualization. That's a psychological version of enlightenment talk. Either way, it's a good thing to have ideals and aspirations in life, and I help people to fulfill this kind of aspiration. I can't promise, but many people I've helped have moved closer and closer and closer to enlightenment, and some have actually moved into that long time state of consciousness. So I have been keeping an Enlightenment Life List and celebrating people in all walks of life. One service that I provide for free about this, I will tell you about in a bit. But first, let me explain what I mean by the importance of consumer smarts in the pursuit of enlightenment. One of the specialties in this field where I work, which is for long called Rosetree Energy Spirituality, and for short, RES. One of my specialties in RES is energetic literacy skills. In other words, I read auras in detail, in person, and from photos. And I teach people like you to do it too. If you can read words on a screen, words on a newspaper, words in a book, you can learn energy literacy. And I sure can teach it to you, and I would love to. Certainly, I've got it, and I've spent a long time getting it to be really reliable. And so I have some criteria that I use for reading a person's aura in order to evaluate whether a person has actually moved into enlightenment, or a person has had some beautiful experiences of awakening, or a person is on a drug high, which is not enlightenment, or a person is doing pretty well, but nowhere close to enlightenment, or a person is like, wow, not doing well at all, definitely not in enlightenment. It's important as a consumer either to be able to do that research for yourself or enlist the services of someone like me who's a professional at doing that kind of research, because you know what? Many people talk the same game. They make it sound like they've got that kind of consciousness and they believe it. And it's not considered nice to be judgmental. I know, but there's a difference between being judgmental and being discerning. And discernment is tremendously important for moving forward on a path that really helps you. I think of one example right off the bat of the importance of discernment. One client of mine, I will call her Gladys. I talk a lot about Joe and Gladys for telling stories to protect confidentiality. So Gladys called me up and she had a session because she wanted to know if she had moved into enlightenment yet. She'd been feeling very good. What she was experiencing seemed to match things that she was reading on different websites about higher states of consciousness. She trusted energetic literacy and RES in particular. So I researched her and I was able to tell Gladys, you have had another opening spiritually. You've had even more awakening than before, but it is definitely not stabilized. And I was able to give her some recommendations. And within a year, she had moved into enlightenment. It's important to be able to tell what's going on, because sometimes people are getting really thrown off the spiritual path they've cherished because nobody gave them something that was true and useful. So I do help people in that way, and you can learn about that with personal sessions that I offer and mentoring that I offer over at roserosetree.com. But meanwhile, what about that free bit of aura reading service and the Enlightenment Life List that I keep? Well, I really have a passion about this. You know, we learn more in our society about people who are lawbreakers and nasty, and we learn more about Trivial Pursuit type things than we do about who's living in a normal way with enlightenment. And so in my own little way, I like to change that and maintain a list. So you are cordially invited to go onto the blog at roserosetree.com, and you can read there how to submit a nomination for the Enlightenment Life List. A public figure, not like your boyfriend Joe or Gladys, but a public figure. And if you supply a photograph, and I've not researched that person before, do the little tiny requirements for the entry, and I will be very happy to research it for you and put the results on my blog. Maybe you will nominate somebody who belongs on that Enlightenment Life List. It's really exciting living now in the age of awakening, and we're going to be finding more and more people on that Enlightenment Life List. You may be surprised at some of the people who are there already. So be a smart consumer about this for yourself and have fun with that free service that I offer over at the Enlightenment Life List.